So, welcome back to another episode, and there is so many anniversaries lately. And all these anniversaries, as I keep saying, make me feel older and older. It's crazy. You know, Zelda 30th, Street Fighter 25th, it just doesn't stop. Streets of Rage is 25 years old. Bare knuckle. I cannot believe the series is 25 years old, and I just wanted to talk to you guys today about my experiences playing this game 25 years ago. And have any of you guys played Streets of Rage? I'm sure quite a lot of you have. But what was bothering me before I made this video, I thought there's quite a few people who haven't, or probably have never even heard of this game. And that's totally understandable. This is a game that I grew up with. It's from my childhood. Not from maybe a lot of your childhoods, but is it a game that you should check out? I think it absolutely is. Is it a game that it's important because I'm older and I played, in my childhood? Yes, but for good reason though. Like, I have to explain a little bit of the history about when this game came out and what it kind of means. Like, I know a lot of collectors are always trying to get this game, and I've never met anybody who said, fuck Streets of Rage, I hate it. It's a really good series. But let's go back to the beginning for a second. In a time when Final Fight and Double Dragon were in arcades. They were side view beat 'em ups where you just walk down the street and beat the hell out of every single thug and try to save, the mayor's daughter or whatever. These kinds of games were very, very popular in the 80s into the 90s. So the Genesis hardware was out. People were loving the Genesis. It was a great machine. But basically the Nintendo had Double Dragon. The Super Nintendo was getting Final Fight. What did the Genesis have? Streets of Rage. And what makes this game so good? I could talk a lot about this. It was a dark, gritty game on the Genesis, a beat 'em up. And the very first time I saw it was at my friend Andrew's place. As you guys know, the legendary guy on my road. I went down there, I'd been hearing about this game, but he had it, and I was like, holy cow. What got me the most was the graphics were so detailed at the time. And the animation was really something else. It was also 2 players, which wasn't uncommon, but it was great that existed. It wasn't just a 1-player game. You could play with your friends. The grappling techniques of grabbing enemies and throwing them, that existed in a lot of those beat 'em ups back then. But they added some different things on there. So an enemy could grab you, and you could kick another enemy while the enemy's grabbed you. Or you could just do a handstand on them, flip them around, and those kinds of techniques were so awesome. That's what made the first Streets of Rage so fun. It was a really fun game. And I played it. I played it last night to capture all the footage for this, and I couldn't believe how well it's held up over the years. The one thing that everybody talks about this game, first of all, the music. The music is godlike. I was listening to Revenge of Shinobi. I was playing Revenge of Shinobi. Love the music. I taped it onto tape. I was listening to it all of the time on my Walkman. And the Streets of Rage came out. I was like, oh, I know that name. Yuzo Koshiro. That's the same guy who did the music for Revenge of Shinobi. I'm like, that's okay. I like this guy. And that's the thing. The music was very techno-y. That may sound funny to say, but on a Genesis game, we're in a time of bleeps and blurps for music, which I have always loved, by the way. I've always loved that kind of music. But to, everybody else, it just sounded like bleeps and blurps. So I remember playing the game, and friends of mine would come over, because we were all skateboarders back then. Friends that were not really into video games, they didn't appreciate video games like I did. They just played them and whatever. They would come over and we'd be playing the game, they're like, wow, this music is amazing. And the music stood out so much, and at the time, video game music was great, but Streets of Rage elevated it. All of a sudden, people were taking notice, wow, this is video game music, but it sounds really good. And so, I was so I felt like I owned a really great game when people were enjoying the music the same way. As I say, I was enjoying it at my friend Andrew's, but I had to get my own copy, and I did. Cherished it. And Streets of Rage is one of those games that back in the day, you just finish over and over and over. You try different characters, different things. You just try to, just try to do every single thing you can with the game. And I think I did everything you could with the original Streets of Rage. And it's amazing how well it holds up. The graphics are still really beautiful. Obviously, the sequels get better and better. It's amazing when you look at the sequels how much better they got, because when I got Streets of Rage, it was the best thing I'd played. I was like, oh, it's another beat 'em up, but I was like, holy, it plays so good. The controls are awesome. Picking up weapons and and that's the thing, you pick up bats and poles and be beating the crap out of everybody, knives, and it was great. Other memorable things, some of the bosses were really good, like the Freddy Krueger that comes out at you. And it really is a testament of the 90s. The wrestler that comes out with a one frame of animation to knock you down was a wonderful thing. And Streets of Rage really was a very big game for the Genesis. And I think for anybody who's new, who's like, I've never played Streets of Rage, you have to understand that when this game came out, it blew us away. For you people watching now, they're like, oh, okay, it's an old game. But it was like state of the art at the time. But everybody loves Streets of Rage, especially when you're fighting a lot of different enemies and it's getting a little overwhelming and you're like, I can't handle this. You just hit your special attack button and the cop car would zoom in. The guy would come out with a rocket launcher and shoot this big spread and destroy every enemy on the screen. And that was so awesome doing that. That's the one thing that the first time I played it, I was like, oh my god, that is so wicked. It's not like there's just an explosion, some guys have fallen down. A car had to drive onto the screen for that to happen. It was that cool. The funny thing is I think anybody who's played the game by accident, you're playing and all of a sudden you hit that special attack button. It's happened at the most inappropriate times. It doesn't happen very often, but we've done it for sure. So 25 years of Streets of Rage, and here's my copy signed by Yuzo Koshiro. I'm really lucky to have this. And I just absolutely adore the game. It's not just like some fighting beat 'em up game. I was like, oh yeah, it's kind of something I played in my childhood. Streets of Rage really had an impact on my generation. That's why we got number 2 and 3. It was so phenomenal, and I don't know if they could ever bring Streets of Rage back now. I don't even have any hope for that. And to be honest with you, I don't really need it. I don't need it. The second, the first, second, and third game are all I need. I personally love the first and second game the most, but what a great game. Like 3 players you could choose from, side view beat 'em up, a testament of the 90s, and a game that just keeps making me feel older because it's 25 years ago that this game came out. So anyways, guys, until next time.